friends, I'm Rosa, welcome to the channel. So, I wanted to do this video last month, but I just have not had the time in my video schedule, if you will. So we're doing it a little bit late, considering the year is over in a couple of months. But, okay, I'm exaggerating. Four in a couple of weeks, right? Yes. But today I wanted to talk about the 10 best books that I've read so far this year. Hopefully we will end off this year with another video like this, but with a couple of other books as well included in this. And I also have a bonus one that is a book, but it's a graphic novel, but I still wanted to include it. So I am going to be sure to leave links to all of the books in the description box down below if you want to check them out. We're going to go through this a little bit quickly because I don't want this video to end up being an hour long. Nobody wants to listen to me talk about books for an hour. So let's get started with probably the first one, which is probably not a surprise, because we're talking about Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. The book that everyone's talking about, including their mothers, and probably their grandmothers too, and all the fathers as well. This is wonderful. So in this we follow Violet Sorrengail, who is the daughter of what is she, a general or something? The commanding general. And her mother has basically ordered her to join the writer's quadrant, even though Violet has been studying to be a scribe. So she has been reading books, and the writer's quadrant is very much not bookish. They're very much you're sent into these tests and trials, and if you don't succeed, you die. That's basically what it is. So Violet is unprepared, but she's I am not gonna die. This is not happening. And so she takes on these trials to become a dragon rider, but it's very much do or die, and you can't trust whoever's taking the trials alongside with you, everyone on your year as well. Everyone's a villain or everyone's an enemy. And then aside from that, there's also a question of rebels from, how do I say this without this world, this setup that we have. There are some political issues. There's some people basically being shunned because their parents were rebels back in the day. And Violet also has a very, very annoying friend who she meets at this, or she meets again because she's been friends with him for ages, but she meets him again at the school, and I hate him so much. I hated him from the start, I still hate him. I'll make you, or you can make up your own mind about him, but I hate him. So there's a little bit of different things coming into play. It's not just Violet going through these trials to become a dragon rider. Lots of twists and turns in this. There's basically information relayed to you on every single page. Unless there's a twist on it, then there's a twist instead. And there's also an enemies to lovers in this one that I'm gonna just, yes. So we got a good little I want to say it's fantasy romance. I don't necessarily want to label it romantasy because I do think there's a pretty heavy fantasy plot to it as well, but I know that some people would disagree with me. My opinion is though that it's more than just the romance. So, but I did love the romance in it. Yeah. So if you are one of the SJM girlies out there who's looking for something new to delve into, this is the first one in a book series of 5, and the others are being released, over the next couple of years, I think. So you got plenty of reading material awaiting you. This, though, was a lovely start. I would have binged this if I hadn't read it with the book club, which means that I couldn't binge it because I needed to vlog the whole reading. But I would have read it in one day if I wasn't vlogging. It was really good. Next up, we have a romance book. So, kind of going with the golden theme we got going on here. Twisted Games by Anna Huang, which is the sequel to Twisted Love. I've also finished Twisted Hate as of recording this, and I am 25% through Twisted Lies. It gets better past Twisted Love, I just want to say. This was very lovely. I think it's a 4.5 for me. A few things I might have wanted to do a little bit differently, and I can't really remember what they are currently, but as I'm thinking back on it, I'm kind of is it a 5-star? It might be a 5-star? I don't know. It's just very cute. Very cute. Grumpy Sunshine. We got a royal lady in here as well, a grumpy bodyguard with some history, traumatic background and all of that. Forbidden romance as well, but forced proximity. It's a good mix. It's a really good mix. So we follow Bridget, who is the crown princess of Eldora, which is a fictional country here in Europe. And she has always needed a bodyguard around her because she's the crown princess. But her current bodyguard, who she is getting along with super well, he has to go home on leave because his wife is pregnant. And so she ends up with a new bodyguard whose name is Reese, and he is a grump who takes his job just a little bit too seriously. He doesn't want to let Bridget go anywhere without like him knowing days ahead of time so he can do his safety checks and all that stuff. Who would have thought a guy keeping a girl safe would be so annoying? But he's just like, he's taking it a little bit too far, you know? Like nothing is secure enough for Bridget. So I kind of respect it, but at the same time I see how it's annoying. And the two of them don't really get along. He's super grumpy. Bridget is super nice and friendly, and you know, she has to be. She's the princess. So she's super princessy. But despite them not getting along, there is a little bit of like, you know, something there that especially Reese just can't get out of his mind. And so one thing leads to another and ... I think I remember now what it is that drags it down to a 4.5 for me. There's certain things towards the end where I'm like, that was a little bit unnecessary. But other than that, this was like so cute. Reese is adorable despite being a big grumpy man with a scar on his face. We love him so much. It's okay to be scarred. Just want to say. I realized as I said that came out wrong. That's not what I meant. I feel like he's like described as a little bit like kind of scary. Like he's just tall and broody and then huge and muscly. Like I don't know about you guys, but big muscly guys kind of scare me at times. So I'm kind of like, ugh. But he's just like a marshmallow a little bit once you get to know him. And if you like a little bit of smut, a little bit of smutty time in your books as well, yeah, there's, you know. Yes. So this was a good one. This was a really good one. I really enjoyed it. So wanted to binge it, but again, I was reading this with the book club as a part of a read-along, so I couldn't because we've split it up over 4 weeks. I was really having a hard time telling myself no, but I managed. In a bit of a different vein, we have Gemina by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, which is a sci-fi young adult. I can't actually remember which of the three that I enjoyed the most, but this is the sequel in the Illuminae Files. Like this. So like you got these like documents and pictures and stuff like that. It's very fun to read. Very bingeable as well. I know it may look like a thick book, but it doesn't take that long to read it because there's not a whole lot of text on every page. So just like, you know, sit down and enjoy the ride. You know what I mean? But essentially, in short, we follow some teenagers who have to save the world. Actually, I can't fully remember how it starts. Sci-fi is always a bit like, they're in space on a planet. The planet probably exploded. They had to take off by an airship and then people come after them or something like that. You know, so drama, and spaceships being blown into pieces and people dying, a lot of people dying in this one, like a whole lot of people dying. There's a virus as well going loose. People dying, lots of people dying, she says with excitement. They're fictional, it's fine. But such a cool trilogy, very different. I would highly recommend, had such a good time with it. And then, having not finished the 4th book yet, because for some reason I'm just busy reading everything else. But Gleam by Raven Kennedy, which is the 3rd book in the Plated Prisoner series. This was lovely. She improved so much from between book 1 and 2, but then again between book 2 and 3. It's kind of like Sarah J. Maas between Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight, and then there was another jump from Crown of Midnight to Heir of Fire. She just improved so much. It shows in this. It's also thicker, but it shows in the language. It's just more pleasant and more flowy to read. So if you have been struggling a little bit with the first 2 books in this series, I would highly recommend just hanging in there because it does get better. I am not putting Glow on pause purposely. Like, it's not because I enjoyed it, or didn't enjoy it, I should say. It's simply because I keep getting sidetracked by all different kinds of other books, but it's constantly there on my couch like, when are you gonna finish me? Come on, read me. So I will have to do that sometime this next month maybe. But in these books we follow, so it's a King Midas retelling, we follow Oren, who is a golden girl. So she's like fully golden from her hair to her skin. Everything about her is just gold. And what can I say about the first one without spoiling anything from the sequels? She's kind of in a cage all the time. King Midas has put her in a cage and Oren keeps telling herself that she's there by choice. But then one day, so like she loves King Midas, she trusts him and just does what he tells her to do. But then one day he kind of like plans to lend her off to this disgusting king from another kingdom, and Oren is obviously not too happy about that because she thought King Midas loved her, and why would he just use her as a pawn? So this kind of like tilts her world upside down, and she starts to question that maybe she doesn't actually want to be in a cage. A lot of thoughts are, you know, starting to play in her head, and snowball effect. That's what starts, a snowball effect. So this book is not about that at all. But the first and the sequel definitely has a lot to do with that part of the story. And so this was a very, very nice, there was a very nice change. And I really gotta read Glow. Like, I really gotta finish Glow. I really, really do. Then we are talking about Cersei by Madeline Miller, which is the retelling of Cersei as she is exiled to this island that is visited by all different kinds of people, some that you have also heard of in other Greek mythology stories, and it's just beautiful. Like, I read this at the same time as I read another book, which I ended up DNFing, and the contrast between the writing in this and the writing in the other book was just extreme. This is so beautiful. You do have to like Madeline Miller's way of writing, but to me it's very lyrical, it's very flowy, it's beautiful, stunning. And so content-wise, of course, as well, we have a beautiful story about Cersei. But it was a beautiful book, and I was just like captivated, completely captivated. I was sad, I was happy, it was beautiful, it was a good time, a sad time as well. And I would recommend it if you like Greek mythology retellings. This is like a must read. Do it. What are you waiting for? Yes. And that means we're halfway through the books before we get to the graphic novel, at least. I also recently finished Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, which is a YA fantasy. I think I like it a little bit less than a lot of people over on TikTok do, but it's a beautiful book. Rebecca Ross has definitely become one of those like must-read authors for me. I have a very good track record with her now. But this is a story about two young people who are journalists who somehow end up corresponding with each other through letters without knowing. And then they're kind of in the middle of this war. So like they're not in the middle of it, but the world in this book, there's a war going on between two gods, and people end up on either side of this war, so either they fight for one god or the other one. And is this in the synopsis? Because otherwise I'm not gonna say. Ooh, it is not. But yeah, there's a war between gods going on, and they're corresponding via magical mail. And it's cute. It's very, very cute. Oh, they're also rivals at their workplace, by the way, which is fun. It's one of those, like, you definitely feel, because it's duo point of view, but there's only a few chapters from the guy's point of view, so it's mainly Iris that you follow. But you definitely feel that he likes her in his chapters, which is it's just cute, okay? It's very adorable. I personally would have wanted a little bit more from the fantasy aspect of it. So aside from, you know, the magical correspondence, I just wanted a little bit more information about the war itself and the gods and you do get some, but I just want like a little bit more of that because I was quite interested in it. I think War Among Gods sounds kind of cool. But other than that, why has my book gotten a bump? Who did that? I did not do that. Who did it? Who done it? Rude. Other than that though, such a cute story. Bit of a cliffhanger ending, but the sequel is coming out in November, so it's just around the corner, or December, one of those 2 months, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So I can get reacquainted with Iris and Roman and see what they're gonna do from after what happens at the end of the book, which I'm not gonna tell you. Read it instead. Yeah. And then we have another Fairy Loot edition, actually. The Adventures of Amina, al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty, which is about Amina and her adventures. Who would have thought? No. So Amina is an old captain, or she's not old, but she's a former captain of a pirate ship. Although I don't know if she would call it a pirate ship. To each their own, I guess. But Amina has been retired because she has a daughter now and she's just living in peace with her. However, one day she is visited by a former crewmate's mother who needs her to go basically find her granddaughter, so the crewmate's daughter I think it is, or something, I can't remember the exact connection. And essentially Amina doesn't really have a choice, so she has to go. It turns out that it's a little bit more than just finding the granddaughter, like there's a whole lot more going on to this whole adventure situation than just that. And there's also a, how much can we say? Yeah, there's a little bit more going on than just that, is all I'm gonna say. Think like sea creatures. A lot of voyage, and as someone who doesn't really love travel books, there are some nice stops in this traveling, so that's why I'm vibing with this. Generally, travel books is just, they don't do it for me. I don't love being in the same place the entire book. I need us to move, but like not just move in a car or move on a ship. I need us to like explore a little bit. You know what I mean? There's exploring in this. Beautiful world building. The characters are so funny. Amina is lovable but badass and still has this like, because she's a mother now and she cares about her daughter so much. So she has this like softness to her as well. And she also has a past. There's some characters from her past as well. A lot of like background story too. It's just very, very lovely. First one in a series. I don't know how many books it's gonna be total, but I'm very excited to see where the series goes because I really enjoyed the world in this one and the characters. So we're gonna have a good time with this. But yeah, fantasy, pirates, water, krakens, badass captain, badass female captain. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, Amina al-Sirafi. Then we have another Rebecca Ross book. Like, what is this? Favoritism? Maybe a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe just a little bit. So this is Dreams Lie Beneath. Did I read this? Yeah, I did. I read this year, right? I just feel like it's a November book for some reason. For some reason in my head I read it in November, but I'm pretty sure I read it in like April or something. I don't know. Anyway, in this we follow our lead girl she's a magician, but the thing is that she works with her father, so their job is to kind of keep nightmares at bay in this town that they live in. And this is a thing across the country that they live in as well. Like, they have these different wardens who take care of each town that they live in, or a city, depending on the size of this place they live in. And so they have to make sure that the population is not like haunted by terrors and nightmares. So that's basically what they do. But the thing is that their position as warden is not necessarily a safe position. Someone else could come to claim it. And that is exactly what happens one day, because these two boys show up and basically challenge her father for the position of warden. And unfortunately, the whole challenge doesn't really end well for her father and... Why do I want to call her Iris? Clementine. Not Iris, that's Divine Rivals. This challenge doesn't end well for Clementine and her father, so they have to move elsewhere. But Clementine is not too happy about that and decides to basically seek revenge for being moved out of her hometown, the place she loves and feels like she needs to protect, and you know. And so a little game begins between her and one of the brothers. But there's a lot more going on to it than that. Like, there's a bit more going on because there's a lot of history to this place that she used to live in, and something mysterious is also going on. The curse with the nightmares haunting the town might not just be the way that things are, but there might actually be like an actual situation that can be solved. And yeah, no, it's a curse for a reason. Curses are meant to be broken, right? Yes. So super cool. Love the writing. I think I slightly binged this actually, which is surprising because I'm pretty sure it's like 400 pages. It's 500, almost 500. But I binged this. This was so lovely, so flowy, so nice to read, so pleasant, and just touching, and Clementine is awesome, and it was cute. It was cool. And magical. 2 more books, which is good because I'm melting. We have Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. I would have included The Serpent and the Wings of Night because I actually like that one a little bit better than Daughter of No Worlds. However, I read it in December, at the very end of December, so I didn't read it in 2023. And that means I can't include it, but the daughter of no, not the only daughter of no worlds. I loved to bits. I just loved the other one a little bit more, but I love this to bits. Tisana is, I love her. As a character, I love her. Like, yes, go girl, get your revenge. I respect it. Do what you want to do. I stand by you. So we follow Tisana, who is a previous slave. Something happens one day while she is working and she has to run off. So what she does is that she decides to run to the Order, or the Orders. The Orders, plural. Who are basically like, okay, we'll help you, but only if you train for us and become one of our soldiers. So this means that Tisana, who, without going into too much detail, because it gets a little bit complicated, but she's what you would call fragmented, which basically means that she doesn't have like full power. She doesn't have full magical powers, but they basically put her in like this trainee mentor situation with a guy called Max, who then has to train her so she can become powerful, good with swords and daggers and fighting and all of that, and learn how to use her powers as well so she can be a soldier. Max is a bit of an outcast. He doesn't like anyone. He doesn't want to be a mentor, but he kind of takes a liking to Tisana and decides to take her on as an apprentice anyway. And while the two of them are training together and, you know, figuring out how to turn Tisana into a soldier, they also start to question the Orders and what they're about. There's some talk about that, but there's also some weird stuff going on with the Orders, so it's not completely unfounded. So, and that's all I'm gonna say. I'm very excited to be reading the sequel, which I have wrapped up on my shelves, so I will be excited until I pull the number and I get to read it. It's good to have something to look forward to. But I feel like if I didn't have my books wrapped up, I probably would have read the sequels by now. So that's on me. I also read this with the book club actually, and I accidentally read like half a book one night, I think, because I couldn't sleep. And then I just kept reading, and I just read and read. And I think I read like 150 pages in one go after I'd gone to sleep. So like, I didn't sleep that night. It happens. Really good book. I would call this romantasy, but again, there's a lot of fantasy in there, and I just love Tisana as a character. I just love her. She's gone through some bad stuff in her life and has decided that she's not having it. She wants to fight back, and I so respect her for that. So even if some of her choices were a little bit questionable, and I wouldn't necessarily have made them myself, but you know, we need some drama in the book for there to be a book. So it is what it is. And then lastly among the books, we have Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. I wasn't actually sure if I wanted to include this one or The Wicked King, but either of the two is fine. I enjoyed this trilogy so much. The Folk of the Air. I enjoyed it so much. Definitely very like, it's fantasy with romance, but it's like full of court politics and drama and scheming and stuff, and I adored it. Jude is both unlikable and likable at the same time. I have a thing for stabby female leads, so that's the thing. Like, if a girl has a knife in my books and I'm automatically like, yes, I like you. You and I, okay, I'm not sure we would be friends because you'd probably stab me, but like, I would adore you from a distance. Yeah. I would fangirl, basically. So in these books though, we follow Jude, who I can't believe I feel like everyone has read Folk of the Air. But in case you haven't, in these books we follow Jude, who is a human, but she has been taken off to Fairy by her half-sister's father after he basically offed her parents in front of her and then took her off to Fairy. So like, she's not super happy with him, but like, he's her father figure anyway. And the thing is that it's not super easy for humans in Fairy. Fairies in this book are vile creatures. They're not nice. They're very disrespectful, a lot of them. Like, they hate humans. They think we're ridiculous. They think we're disgusting. They don't love us. Not even a little bit. They don't even like us. Like, they would not breathe the same air as us. They would rather choke. You know? That sort of situation. And so she's not having an easy time there. Her twin sister, though, is kind of the same situation, but the difference between them is that Taryn, that's her sister, has just kind of learned to live with it, and Jude, on the other hand, fights back, which just makes it worse. But Jude is very much like, if I can't join you, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna be so much worse than you. And so it's about her basically trying to find her place in fairy where she really doesn't feel like she belongs, but it's the only home that she has. So she just wants to fit in. And by fitting in, she wants power, you know? To fit in, she wants power and she wants more of it. So the Queen of Nothing. Yeah, it was very cool. I really enjoyed it. So bingeable as well. They're like all 3 books around 300 pages or something like that. So you can read them in like one sitting each or something. I'm pretty sure I've done that with 2 of them. And just really good. Super good YA. Like, yeah, nothing against YA whatsoever, but it's like really good YA. When YA is good, you know, when YA is good. And then lastly, because I just had to include it. I know it's not like, I just had to include it. Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe or Smythe. I'm not really sure how to, Smythe. Probably Smythe, right? This is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and it's a graphic novel, and it's super vibrant and very, very unique. And I love it so much. Whenever I think about it, that was a lot. Okay, whenever I think about it, I just smile. Like, I love it so much. It's so cute. See, now I'm doing it again. Like, I don't know what it is. I love it so much. I love it so much. My neighbors can hear me half crying over a book right now, and I don't care. But it's very sad at times as well, because like Core / Persephone does not have an easy time. She essentially has been kept apart from the rest of the gods and goddesses, but has finally been allowed, if you will, or has decided, I can't actually remember which one, to basically be introduced into the nightlife of the gods and the goddesses. And this comes with some drama. She also kind of doesn't run into Hades, but something else happens and she meets Hades and is very taken with him. He's very taken with her, but he also has his issues, and it's a whole thing. I just adore. She's not stabby, not even a little bit, and I adore her so much. She's a marshmallow. Like, I love Persephone so much. So yes, I have volume 2 and 3, and I am so excited to read them. I've had them for a while and I just can't make myself, because I'm like, if I have like a day, you know, one of those days where you're just, nothing is going right and you're unhappy and you're kind of like on the brink of crying. Am I oversharing right now? Do you guys not have those days? You know those days, right? I want to have volume 2 ready so that I can completely lose myself in the graphic novel and just be happy. Like, that's what I'm waiting for. So, it's like my backup plan, which is stupid. I should probably just read it and then just read this if I'm having one of those days. I generally don't really have a lot of those days. So, like, I don't know. I just want to be on the safe side. Like, I adored this so much. This would make me happy on any day. Yes, I loved it. I loved it to bits. Oh, that's scary. We don't want to share that. Like, look at this. Oh, and I love the style. The style is not necessarily for everyone, but I adored it. I think it's so unique, and each god, goddess also have their own colors and stuff, and it's just lovely. Delete. No, why did you do that? I forgot I did that. Okay, anyway. So I think actually I'm gonna reread this. I think it's time. I think I've deserved a reread of this. Yes. But those were my 10, 11 books that I wanted to talk about today. So I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about them, or maybe if you haven't heard me talk about them before, you may have gotten some recommendations out of this video. Hopefully the video at the end of the year will have some extra or new top reads of mine in it, but we will see. I might just have a couple of really bad reading months. Who knows? I can't tell, so I don't know what the next months are gonna bring. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you want to check out any of the books, I will be leaving links to them in the description box down below. And I think that is about all. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this from me, but also other booktube stuff such as vlogs and bookish unboxings, bookish hauls, and all of the booktube stuff, definitely consider sticking around by clicking on the subscribe button. However, I'm gonna leave you to it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Oh, you know you're beautiful, and it's like